Greetings folks, I'm Dan Mack, welcoming you to the Shred Shack. Now, as you may know, we normally like to take some time on a monthly basis to review our favorites from the month past or months past. But due to hectic holiday schedules and whatnot, we were not able to do that for December of 2017, so I am picking just one album to do for all parties. And I'm reviewing it in July of 2018. Blow me.
We bring the
Operation Mindcrime is the solo outfit formed by former Queensryche singer Geoff Tate following his departure from the band. Now, I've had plenty to say about Geoff Tate in the past, both positive and negative, and when I say that this album took me by surprise, I don't want you to think that I had low expectations for the man's artistic output. I try to give credit where it's due, and that's often difficult in the shadow of such monumental albums such as the band's namesake. However, as in all matters of change as they pertain to the art of music, one should keep an open mind. First things first, in the case of the New Reality and its preceding albums, you have to clear the slate and acknowledge that this is not Queensryche, and it certainly is not intended to be so. That band continues on with a new singer playing material closer to that which brought the name to prominence in the 80s and 90s, and are admittedly doing very well with that. What we have here is more in common with the progressive stylings of Genesis and its associated solo acts, which is unsurprising considering that Tate has stated in one way or another for years that he is not the biggest fan of heavy metal. While one may have become familiar with such non-metal influences in the music with which Tate is associated, the end product here is a little different. It took me a few listens to realize that the main thing that did not sit well with me was the opener. The first two tracks are not unlike the seemingly directionless schlock that hampered much of Queensryche's later catalog. And in the case of this album, with no one else but Tate to blame, my biases regarding his vocal performance take center stage. There's long been an aura of disinterest and boredom in his delivery, and unfortunately the music here lacks any punch to compensate. However, once the third track hits, the album takes off in a big way. It Was Always You starts to incorporate progressive elements in a most impressive manner, with many of the songs that follow being led by the drums. I can't express enough how vital the drums are to this album's atmospherics, as that is what the New Reality offers in spades. Atmospherics. Ambience. With the lyrics apparently commenting on the state of virtual currency, it elicits discomfort, and credit is due to the no less than 4 contributing drummers for employing a cavernous sound that creates a sense of strength, power, and structure beneath the uneasy discordance. I would assume that the final product has to have Tate's stamp of approval, but generally speaking, much of this album's quality lies in the collaboration of its musicians. This is not to say that latter-day Queensryche suffered because of the lack of talent of the instrumentalists, but a divergence in creative direction. Here, everything seems to follow Tate's singular vision, which I've spoken positively of, but credit is certainly due to all of the musicians involved who made this possible, including, but not limited to, Simon Wright, Kelly Gray, John Moyer, and more. Even Tate's own non-vocal contributions in the form of saxophone segments are great, not solely for the notes played, but again for the ambience of the album. All that being said, it's no surprise that in a general sense, Tate's vocals take more of a back seat in the scheme of things throughout, but his performance after the initial 2 tracks is far more fitting, even palpable. In the split between Geoff Tate and his former bandmates, I will always go with the latter because at their core they'll always produce something that appeals more to me. However, there are those instances where I feel Geoff Tate deserves more credit than given, and this album is one such instance. If you blame him for what Queensryche became prior to the turn of the millennium, this will not appeal to you. Tate's solo material paints a picture of just how much influence he had in the sound of his previous band, and while I have not really gotten on board with those mid to latter day albums, the New Reality might prove influential in my attempts to give them another chance. I always side with an artist's right to be artistic, and when given what is presumably free rein, Geoff Tate does not push the boundaries of music itself, but rather demonstrates that he's not afraid to explore what those boundaries are. So those are my thoughts on the new reality by Operation Mindcrime. I know it came out back in December. I know this video is well overdue, and hopefully we'll have the next top 3 videos coming out shortly after. In the meantime, look out for our next album review, our next 10-word reviews, a return to the podcast, and many more things in the future. Until next time, I'm Dan Mack, and I bid you adieu.